I stood at the edge of the circular driveway of our $5 million Beverly Hills mansion, watching my husband Travis wrap his arm around a blonde woman in a tight red dress. His smile was cold, victorious. "Thanks for the inheritance, darling," he called out, his voice dripping with mockery. "I really needed that $5 million to build my startup. It worked out perfectly." He pulled the woman closer. "Now get out. Ashley needs her space." I looked at them both, standing on the marble steps like they owned the world, and I smiled. A real smile. Because Travis had no idea what I had done 3 months ago, before he emptied my account. He had no idea that I was about to take everything from him. The gym bag slipped from my fingers when I walked into our kitchen that Tuesday evening. I had left work early, wanting to surprise Travis with dinner from his favorite Italian place. Instead, I found his laptop open on the granite counter, screen glowing in the dimming light. I should have closed it. I should have respected his privacy. But something made me pause. An email notification sat at the top of the screen, and the sender's name caught my eye. Ashley Morrison. The preview read, "When are you finally going to leave her like you promised?" My stomach twisted. The room suddenly felt too small, the air too thick. I set down the takeout bags with shaking hands and sat on the bar stool, my eyes fixed on those words. "When are you finally going to leave her like you promised?" I clicked on the email, then another, and another. The messages went back 6 months. Ashley asking when Travis would be free. Travis promising her soon, very soon. Photos of them at restaurants I had never been to, hotels, her apartment. Every message was a knife. But I kept reading because I needed to know the full truth. Then I found the email that changed everything. It was from Travis to someone named Gerald Hutchins, who appeared to be a lawyer. The subject line read, "Divorce Strategy, Asset Protection." My heart hammered so hard I could hear it in my ears. Travis had written, "Gerald, I need your advice on how to proceed with the divorce while protecting the business assets. My wife signed financial power of attorney papers when her father died last year. She was too grief-stricken to read the fine print. Stupid, really. But it gives me access to everything." I stopped breathing. Another email, this one to Gerald from 3 weeks ago. "The startup needs serious capital. Lucky for me, my wife just inherited $5 million from her father's estate. The money hit our joint account yesterday. I'm moving it to the company account today." I scrolled frantically through my banking app. Our joint savings account, the one where Dad's life insurance and estate settlement had been deposited. $5 million. Zero balance. Transferred out 8 days ago. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the laptop across the room. But I kept reading, my vision blurring with tears I refused to let fall. There was more. So much more. I opened Travis's desk drawer with trembling fingers, looking for anything else. That's when I found the black leather notebook, tucked under a stack of business magazines. It had a small lock, but Travis had left it open. I opened it and nearly vomited. Page 1. Goal. Secure Gail's inheritance. Page 5. Successfully convinced her to sign financial POA. She trusts me completely. Page 12. Ashley has agreed to play along with the affair to speed up divorce timeline. Promised her $50,000 once everything is finalized. Page 20. Once startup is profitable and inheritance is fully invested, we'll remove Gail from the house. Easier to divorce when she has no base of operations. There were notes about my father's health declining, calculations about when he might pass away, estimates of the inheritance. Travis had written, "She's so trusting, so easy to manipulate. This will be easier than I thought." I sat there in our home, in the kitchen where I had made breakfast for this man every morning for 3 years, and I felt something inside me break, and then immediately harden into steel. The tears stopped. My hands stopped shaking. I took photos of every email with my phone, every page of that notebook. I put everything back exactly as I had found it. I closed the laptop, making sure the screen returned to the same position. Then I sat on our leather couch in the living room, staring at the modern art Travis had insisted we buy, and I started thinking. If I called the police, what would they say? The money was in a joint account. We were married. Technically, he had a right to move it. The power of attorney was legally signed, even if I had been too devastated by Dad's death to read it carefully. If I filed for divorce immediately, it would take months, maybe years. Travis had already hidden the money in his company. His lawyers would argue it was a business investment, marital property. I might get half of the company's value, but only if I could prove it had value. Startups failed all the time. No, I needed to be smarter than that. I needed to beat Travis at his own game. I wiped my face, opened my own laptop, and started researching business law, corporate structure, investor rights. I read until my eyes burned, until the sun came up, until I heard Travis's car pull into the driveway at 7 in the morning. He walked in, saw me on the couch, and smiled. "Hey, babe, you're up early." I smiled back, couldn't sleep, thinking about Dad. He came over, kissed my forehead. "I know it's hard, but we'll get through this together." I wanted to spit in his face. Instead, I said, "I love you." "Love you too," he said, and disappeared into the shower. The moment I heard the water running, I grabbed my phone and texted the one person I knew could help me. Marcus Chen, my father's attorney. The man who had known me since I was 16, who had handled Dad's estate, who had spent 30 years fighting corporate battles. "Marcus, I need to see you today. It's urgent. And please, don't tell anyone." His response came 2 minutes later. "My office. 9 a.m. I'll clear my schedule." Marcus's office overlooked downtown Los Angeles from the 32nd floor of a glass tower. I had been here dozens of times with Dad, watching him negotiate deals, fight legal battles, build his commercial real estate empire from nothing. Now I sat in the same leather chair, hands folded in my lap, trying not to fall apart. Marcus was 65, silver-haired, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. He had known Dad since college. He had been at my wedding. He had held my hand at Dad's funeral. Now he listened in silence as I showed him everything. The emails, the notebook, the bank statements. When I finished, he sat back in his chair and was quiet for a long moment. "Legally," he finally said, "Travis hasn't done anything criminal. You signed the POA. The account was joint. The money went into a legitimate business." My heart sank. "However," Marcus continued, and I saw a familiar glint in his eye. The same look Dad used to get when he found a loophole in a contract. "There are ways to fight back. Tell me, Gail, how far are you willing to go?" "As far as I need to," he nodded slowly. "Travis's startup is seeking outside investment. I know this because I keep tabs on the tech community. His company, Tech Venture Solutions, has been shopping for Series A funding for 2 months. I leaned forward. "What does that mean?" "It means they need more money to grow, and that means they're willing to sell equity to investors." He pulled up something on his computer. "If you were to invest in his company through a shell corporation, a company he doesn't know you control, you could become a major shareholder." My pulse quickened. "And then you would have power, voting rights, access to financial records, the ability to call special shareholder meetings, and most importantly, the ability to expose any financial irregularities." "What kind of irregularities?" Marcus smiled grimly. "Gail, I've looked at Travis's public filings. The revenue numbers he reports to potential investors are significantly higher than what he reports to the IRS. That's securities fraud." I felt a surge of something hot and fierce. "Can we prove it?" "If you become a shareholder, yes, you would have legal access to all the books." "How much would I need to invest?" "Based on their current valuation, you would need about $3 million to secure 40% of the company. 40% would make you the second largest shareholder after Travis." "I don't have $3 million. Travis took everything." Marcus tapped his fingers on the desk. "How much do you have?" "About $200,000 in my personal account, money I earned from my marketing job over the years." "And you still own your father's house in San Diego, the one he left specifically to you, separate from the estate?" I nodded. Dad had put that house in my name 5 years ago, as a gift. It was worth about $3 million. "You could take a loan against it." My stomach dropped. "That's risky." "Yes, but if Travis succeeds in taking everything else, you'll lose it anyway in the divorce. At least this way, you fight back." I thought about Dad, about how he had taught me to play chess when I was 10. "Never make a move without thinking 3 steps ahead," he used to say. "And never let your opponent know what you're planning." "Okay," I said, "let's do it." Over the next 2 weeks, Marcus worked fast. He created an LLC in Delaware called Horizon Capital Partners. The ownership was buried under layers of corporate structure that would take a forensic accountant months to unravel. I went to the bank, filled out stacks of paperwork, and mortgaged Dad's house. $3 million. The loan officer looked concerned when she saw the amount. "This is a significant debt," she said. "Are you sure?" I signed the papers. "I'm sure." With the $200,000 from my savings, I had $3,200,000. Marcus had a friend named Jake Whitmore, an actual venture capitalist who agreed to pose as the face of Horizon Capital. Travis would meet with Jake, never knowing I was behind it. Jake met Travis at a cafe in Santa Monica. I watched from my car across the street, wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap. I saw Travis's animated gestures as he pitched his company, saw Jake nodding, looking impressed, asking questions. 3 hours later, Jake called me. He took the bait. He's desperate for the money. I offered $3 million for 40% equity, and after some negotiation, he agreed. He didn't suspect anything? Not at all. I told him Horizon is a Delaware-based fund that specializes in tech startups. He was actually grateful. 2 weeks later, the deal closed. I owned 40% of Travis's company, and he had no idea. But Marcus found something else while reviewing the documents for the investment, something that made his eyes go wide. "Gail, look at this." He pointed to a section of Travis's investor pitch deck. He's reporting annual revenue of $2 million, but his tax returns show revenue of only $800,000. What does that mean? It means he's lying to investors to inflate his company's value. That's securities fraud. If this went to the SEC, he could face serious charges. "We save that information," I said, "for when we need it." Marcus nodded. "There's something else. I noticed a $1 million investment from someone named Viktor Kozlov 6 months ago. I looked him up. He's a Russian businessman currently under FBI investigation for money laundering." My blood went cold. Is Travis involved in money laundering? I don't know, but we should find out. As I left Marcus's office that day, I felt a strange mix of terror and exhilaration. I had just bet everything I had left on this plan. I had just become a silent partner in my cheating husband's company. And Travis still smiled at me every morning, kissed me goodbye, told me he loved me, all while planning to throw me out like garbage. But I smiled back, because I knew something he didn't. I was 3 steps ahead. The first shareholder meeting happened on a gray Tuesday morning in October, 8 weeks after Horizon Capital's investment. Travis had rented a conference room at a WeWork in Culver City. I wasn't there in person, of course. Jake Whitmore represented Horizon Capital, sitting across from Travis and his CFO, a nervous young man named Danny. But I was listening. Jake wore a small recording device, perfectly legal in California, as long as one party to the conversation consented. I sat in my car outside, earbuds in, listening to every word through Jake's phone. Travis sounded confident as he walked through the quarterly numbers. Revenue was up. User acquisition was growing. Everything looked great on paper. Then Jake started asking questions. "I noticed the operating expenses increased by 300% this quarter. Can you break that down?" Travis cleared his throat. "Marketing costs. We've been aggressive with our customer acquisition strategy. $300,000 in 3 months seems excessive. Do you have documentation?" "Of course. Danny can send that over. I'd like to see it today. Also, I noticed several large withdrawals categorized as business development. Can you explain those?" There was a pause. I could almost see Travis's smile tightening. "Those are client entertainment, travel expenses, that sort of thing. $60,000 last month alone? We're building relationships with major clients." Jake's voice remained calm but firm. "According to the investment agreement, discretionary spending over $10,000 per month requires board approval. You've spent well over that. Actually, you've spent close to $300,000 in the past 6 months on expenses that appear to be personal in nature." I held my breath. Travis's voice turned cold. "Are you accusing me of something?" "I'm asking for transparency. That's what shareholders are entitled to. I'll need a full accounting audit by an independent firm." "That's not necessary. Actually, per our agreement, any shareholder with over 25% can request an audit. Horizon holds 40%. The meeting ended shortly after. Through my earbuds, I heard Travis slamming papers, his footsteps heavy as he left. Jake called me an hour later. He's rattled. "Good," I said. That night, I was in the guest bedroom, pretending to read. when I heard Travis on the phone in his study. The walls were thin enough that his angry voice carried through. I don't care what it takes, Frank. I need to know who's behind Horizon Capital. Someone is trying to sabotage me. Frank! I did a quick search on my phone. Frank Morrison, private investigator, based in Los Angeles. My stomach tightened. Travis was investigating Horizon, investigating me. I texted Marcus. He's hired a PI. Are we safe? His response: Delaware LLCs are designed to be opaque. But be careful, no paper trail connecting you to Horizon. For the next week, I felt Travis watching me. His eyes would linger on me at breakfast. He would ask casual questions about my day, my friends, where I had been. How's work? He would ask. Fine, same as always. You seeing anyone for lunch these days? Just Diana sometimes. Diana was my friend from college, a yoga instructor who knew nothing about any of this. I had kept her in the dark to protect her, but Travis's suspicion was growing. I could feel it. Then one morning I left for work and noticed a gray sedan following me. I took a random turn. The sedan followed. I pulled into a Starbucks parking lot. The sedan parked 3 spots away. Frank Morrison. It had to be. I couldn't lead him to Marcus's office. Couldn't do anything suspicious. So I went to work, came home, acted normal. But the following Tuesday, I noticed Ashley sitting at the Starbucks across from my office building. She was there when I arrived at 9, still there at noon when I went to lunch. I decided to confront it. I walked into the Starbucks and sat down directly across from her. She jumped, startled. I know Travis sent you to watch me, I said calmly. Ashley recovered quickly, smiling that same cold smile. He thinks you're up to something. Is that what he told you? That I'm the problem? He said you might be trying to sabotage his company. I laughed. Ashley, do you really think Travis loves you? Her smile faltered. He's using you, I continued, just like he used me. When he's done with you, he'll find someone else. That's what men like Travis do. You're just jealous. No, I'm free, you're just the next victim. I stood and walked out, but I felt her eyes on my back, felt the weight of her uncertainty. Good. Maybe I could turn her into an ally eventually. But for now, I had bigger problems. That evening, Travis came home late, his face flushed with anger. I know you're meeting with Marcus, he said. My blood ran cold, but I kept my expression neutral. Marcus is helping me with Dad's estate paperwork. There are still some tax issues to resolve. Frank saw you there, multiple times. Because there's a lot of paperwork, Travis. Dad had a complicated estate. He stepped closer. If you're planning something, I'll find out. I'm not planning anything. I'm just trying to deal with my father's death while you run around with your girlfriend. He grabbed my arm, not hard enough to hurt, but hard enough to scare me. Don't play games with me, Gail. I pulled away. Let go of me. He did, but his eyes were furious. That night, I barely slept. I knew the walls were closing in. Travis was getting desperate, which made him dangerous. I texted Marcus. We need to move faster. His response came at 3 a.m. I'm working on something, trust me. 2 days later, Frank the PI gave Travis his report. I know because Travis's lawyer called for a meeting, and Jake was invited as the Horizon representative. I listened to the recording Jake made. Travis's lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Brennan, laid out the situation. Mr. Morrison's investigation has revealed some interesting connections. Your wife has been meeting regularly with Marcus Chen, who we know helped establish several Delaware corporations in the past month. We believe Gail may be connected to Horizon Capital. My heart stopped. Jake, bless him, didn't miss a beat. That's quite an accusation. Do you have proof? Not yet, but we're pursuing it. Well, Jake said smoothly, until you have actual evidence, I suggest you focus on running the company properly. The next board meeting is in 2 weeks. I expect a full financial audit to be completed by then. After the meeting, Jake called me. They're close, Gail. We need to make our move. What do you suggest? We go on offense. We expose Travis before he exposes you. How? We call an emergency shareholder meeting. We present evidence of his fraud. We force his hand. I thought about it. It was risky, but waiting was riskier. Okay, let's do it. That night, Travis didn't come home until after midnight. When he did, he looked at me with such hatred that I felt genuinely afraid for the first time. This isn't over, he said. I know, I replied quietly, and I knew that the final battle was about to begin. 3 days later, a process server knocked on the door while I was making coffee. I signed for the envelope, my hands steady even though my heart was racing. Inside was a lawsuit. Travis was suing me for fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and misappropriation of marital assets. The claims were absurd but cleverly crafted. He alleged that I had secretly funneled money out of our accounts to create Horizon Capital, that I had used inside information about his company to make an unfair investment, that I had violated his trust and our marriage contract. Patricia Brennan's work, no doubt. She was good. I called Marcus immediately. I just got served. I know. I got a copy too. I'm your attorney of record now. Can he win? That depends. He's gambling that you'll settle to avoid exposure. He's also gambling that a judge will be sympathetic to his argument that you deceived him. But I didn't technically do anything illegal, right? Technically, no. But the optics are bad. A wife secretly investing in her husband's company through a shell corporation looks manipulative, even if it was legal. What do? We fight. And we prepare our counterstrike. How's your research into the Kozlov connection going? I had spent the past week digging into every document I could find about Viktor Kozlov. Marcus had given me access to some of the company's financial records through my role as a shareholder. I found something, I said. Travis and Kozlov met at least 5 times in the past year. There are wire transfers from Kozlov's company to Tech Venture that are labeled as investment, but the amounts don't match what's reported in the shareholder documents. That's money laundering, Marcus said flatly. I have emails too, from Travis to Danny, his CFO. Travis wrote, "Keep the Kozlov transactions separate from the main books. We can't have investors asking questions. That's conspiracy to commit fraud. Gail, this is serious. We need to involve the FBI. Are you sure? If we're going to stop Travis, we need the federal government on our side." 2 days later, I sat in a small conference room at the FBI's Los Angeles field office. The walls were beige, the furniture government issue. A female agent named Jennifer Walsh sat across from me, mid-40s, with tired eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. I laid out everything: the emails, the financial discrepancies, the connection to Viktor Kozlov. Agent Walsh reviewed the documents carefully. "This is solid evidence. We've been building a case against Kozlov for 2 years. If your husband is helping him launder money, that's a federal crime. What happens now? We open an official investigation into your husband's company. We'll need you to cooperate fully, provide any additional evidence you find, and be prepared for him to retaliate." "He already is. He's suing me." She nodded. "That's common. Guilty people often go on offense to distract from their own crimes, but you need to be careful. If he realizes you've contacted us, he might become desperate." "What does desperate look like?" Agent Walsh met my eyes. "Desperate people do dangerous things." I left the FBI office feeling both relieved and terrified. Relieved that someone with power was finally going to hold Travis accountable. Terrified of what he might do when he found out. I didn't have to wait long. 3 days later, at 11:30 at night, my phone rang. "Travis." I answered. "Hello? What did you do?" His voice was low, shaking with rage. "I don't know what you're talking about. The FBI called me today. They want to interview me about my business practices, about Viktor Kozlov. You did this." I stayed silent. "You're going to regret this, Gail. I promise you that." "Are you threatening me?" "Take it however you want, but you just declared war, and I'm very good at war." He hung up. I immediately called Agent Walsh and reported the threat. She said they would note it in their file, but couldn't do anything unless Travis actually did something. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stayed at Diana's place, too afraid to be alone. Diana made me tea and sat with me on her couch. "This is getting scary," she said. "I know. Maybe you should just walk away, let him have everything." "I can't. He stole my father's money, my inheritance. If I walk away now, he wins completely." "But what if he hurts you?" Then at least I tried. The next morning, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of me leaving Diana's apartment, and a message, "I know where you are." My hands shook as I showed it to Diana. "Call the police," she said. I did. They took a report, but said there wasn't much they could do about a text message. I forwarded it to Agent Walsh. She called me back within an hour. This is harassment. We can use this. Can you arrest him? Not yet, but keep documenting everything. That afternoon, Marcus called with more bad news. The judge granted Travis's motion for a temporary restraining order on the company assets. As of now, you can't sell your shares or take any action with Horizon Capital until the fraud case is resolved. What does that mean? It means your money is locked up. You can't access it, and Travis knows it. I felt the walls closing in. I had gambled everything on this plan, and now I was trapped. I couldn't sell my shares to pay back the loan on Dad's house. The payments were due in 3 months. If I defaulted, I would lose the house. Travis was winning. But then, that evening, something unexpected happened. Someone knocked on Diana's door. I looked through the peephole and almost fainted. It was Ashley. Diana looked at me. Should I tell her to leave? No, I said slowly. Let her in. Ashley stood in the doorway, looking nothing like the confident woman I had seen with Travis. Her eyes were red. Her hair was messy. She looked like she had been crying for hours. Can I come in? She asked quietly. I stepped aside. She walked in, sat on the couch, and immediately burst into tears. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. Diana and I exchanged glances. What happened? I asked. Ashley wiped her eyes. I found out the truth. About everything. Travis never loved me. He's been using me from the beginning. How did you find out? I went to his office yesterday to surprise him. I found him with another woman, younger than me. He told me to leave. When I confronted him, he laughed. He said I was just a pawn in his plan to get rid of you. Despite everything, I felt a pang of sympathy for her. He told me he promised you $50,000, I said. She looked up, shocked. How did you know that? I saw his notebook, the one where he planned everything. She put her face in her hands. I'm such an idiot. He approached me 2 years ago. I had just lost money in a bad investment. He offered to help me. He was so kind, so charming. He said he loved me, and I believed him. What investment? A real estate deal. I put in $50,000 of my savings. The company went bankrupt. I lost everything. Travis said he knew the people involved. He said he could help me get my money back if I helped him with something. With me, she nodded miserably. He said his wife was trying to ruin him, that you were mentally unstable, that you were threatening his business. He asked me to pretend to be his girlfriend to put pressure on you to agree to a divorce. He promised he would pay me back the $50,000 and that we could be together after. And you believed him. I was desperate and lonely and stupid. I sat down next to her. You're not stupid. You're a victim, just like me. She looked at me with surprise. You don't hate me? I hate him, not you. She wiped her eyes again. I want to help you. I want to make this right. How? I have evidence. Recordings. Travis doesn't know, but I recorded some of our conversations because I wanted to have proof of his promises. I have him talking about how he stole your inheritance, how he planned to frame you, how he's working with Kozlov to hide money. My heart jumped. You have recordings? She pulled out her phone, scrolled through files, and handed it to me. I pressed play. Travis's voice, clear as day. Victor wants to move $2 million through the company. We'll call it consulting fees. The IRS will never figure it out. Another recording. Once I get rid of Gail, I'll have complete control of her father's money. She was so easy to manipulate. Another. Ashley served her purpose. I'll dump her once the divorce is final. I looked at Ashley with something close to awe. This is everything we need. Use it, she said. Destroy him. I called Marcus immediately, then Agent Walsh. Within an hour, they both confirmed it. The recordings were legal. California was a two-party consent state, but Ashley was one of the parties, so she had every right to record. And the content was damning. Travis explicitly admitting to money laundering, fraud, and conspiracy. For the first time in weeks, I felt hope. But I also knew that when Travis found out what Ashley and I were doing, he would do something drastic. And I was right. Marcus scheduled an emergency shareholder meeting for the following Tuesday. Under corporate law, Horizon Capital had the right to demand a special meeting with 2 weeks' notice. But given the evidence of fraud, Marcus argued we needed to act immediately, and the other minority shareholders agreed. Travis couldn't refuse without looking guilty. The meeting would be held at a neutral location, a law office in Century City. Marcus insisted that we have witnesses beyond just shareholders. He invited Agent Walsh from the FBI. He also invited a reporter from the Los Angeles Times business section, a woman named Sarah Park who had been following Travis's company for a story on local tech startups. Travis wouldn't know about these extra guests until he arrived. The morning of the meeting, I barely slept. I put on my most professional outfit, a black blazer and slacks. I tied my hair back. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. I looked harder. Older. Stronger. Diana hugged me before I left. "You've got this." Ashley, who had been staying with us for safety, hugged me too. "Make him pay." I arrived at the law office at 9 in the morning. The conference room was large, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Marcus was already there, setting up a laptop and projector. Jake arrived next, looking calm and professional as always. Then the other minority shareholders, a venture capitalist named Tom, an angel investor named Rachel. At 9:15, Agent Walsh walked in with another agent. They sat in the back, observing. Sarah Park, the reporter, set up her recording equipment in the corner. At 9:20, Travis walked in. He stopped dead when he saw the crowd. "What is this?" he demanded. "An emergency shareholder meeting," Marcus said calmly. "As is your right under the corporate bylaws. Please, sit down." Travis's eyes swept the room, landing on Agent Walsh. His face went pale. "I'm not saying anything without my lawyer." "That's fine. You can call her." He pulled out his phone and stepped into the hallway. Through the glass walls, I could see him pacing, talking frantically. 20 minutes later, Patricia Brennan arrived, looking annoyed. "What's going on here?" "A shareholder meeting," Marcus repeated. "With the FBI present? And press? This is a setup." "This is transparency," Marcus countered. "Now please, let's begin." Everyone Saturday, Travis and Patricia, on one side of the table. Marcus, Jake, and I on the other. The minority shareholders at the ends. Agent Walsh and Sarah Park watching from the sides. Marcus stood and addressed the room. "Thank you all for coming. We've called this meeting to address serious concerns about the financial management and ethical conduct of Tech Venture Solutions and its CEO, Travis." He clicked a button. The first slide appeared on the screen. An email from Travis to Danny about inflating revenue numbers. Travis leaned forward. "Where did you get that?" "As a 40% shareholder, Horizon Capital has the legal right to access company documents. This is from your company email server." The next slide showed the discrepancies between what Travis reported to investors and what he reported to the IRS. Patricia stood. "This is privileged information. You can't use it in a public setting." Agent Walsh spoke from the back. "Actually, when fraud is involved, there's no privilege. Please continue, Mr. Chen." Marcus clicked to the next slide. Financial transfers from Viktor Kozlov. "This is Viktor Kozlov, currently under investigation by the FBI for money laundering. He has invested $1.2 million into this company over the past year. But that money doesn't appear in the shareholder equity statements. Where did it go, Travis?" Travis stood up. "I don't have to answer these accusations." "Actually, you do," Jake said. "As CEO, you have a fiduciary duty to your shareholders. We're asking you directly, have you engaged in financial crimes?" Travis looked trapped. His eyes darted around the room looking for an escape. That's when I stood up. Travis's eyes locked on mine. "You," he breathed. I walked to the front of the room. "Everyone should know that Travis is my husband, and that he stole $5 million from my inheritance to fund this company." Gasps around the room. Sarah Park's pen moved rapidly across her notepad. I clicked to the next slide. The photo of Travis's notebook. His detailed plans to steal my money. This is Travis's own handwriting. His own plan. He targeted me from the moment my father got sick. He married me for my money. He manipulated me. And when he got what he wanted, he threw me away. Patricia stood. "This is slander." "No," Marcus said. "This is evidence. And there's more." He played the audio recordings Ashley had given us. Travis's voice filled the room, cold and calculating. "Victor wants to move $2 million through the company. Once I get rid of Gail, I'll have complete control of her father's money. Ashley served her purpose. I'll dump her once the divorce is final." The room went silent. Travis's face turned red, then white. He looked at me with pure hatred. You destroyed me, he whispered. No, I said firmly. You destroyed yourself. Travis suddenly lunged across the table at me. Two security guards that Marcus had hired grabbed him before he could reach me. Let me go, Travis screamed. I'll kill you. I'll kill all of you. Everyone in the room stepped back. Patricia tried to calm him. Travis, stop. You're making this worse. But he kept struggling, kept screaming threats. Agent Walsh stood up. Travis, you need to calm down right now. He didn't. He was beyond reason, thrashing against the security guards. That's when the conference room door opened. An older man walked in, tall and distinguished, with gray hair and Travis's same sharp features. Richard, Travis's father. Dad? Travis stopped struggling. Dad, help me. Richard walked slowly to the front of the room. He looked at the evidence on the screen. He looked at his son. Then he looked at me. I'm sorry, Richard said to me. I had no idea he was capable of this. Travis's eyes went wide. Dad, please. Richard shook his head. I raised you better than this, son. Your mother would be ashamed. But Dad. No, Richard's voice was firm. You've committed crimes. You've hurt people. I can't protect you from this. He turned to Agent Walsh. I'll cooperate fully with your investigation. I'll provide any information you need about my son's business dealings. Travis sank into his chair, defeated. Agent Walsh approached him. Travis, you're under arrest for money laundering, securities fraud, and conspiracy to commit fraud. She read him his Miranda rights as she placed handcuffs on his wrists. Travis looked at me one last time as they led him away. You'll regret this. No, I said quietly. You will. The room emptied slowly. The shareholders filed out, talking in hushed voices. Sarah Park asked if she could interview me later. I said yes. Richard approached me before he left. I'm sorry for what my son did to you. If there's anything I can do to help make this right, please tell me. Thank you, I managed. He left. Ashley appeared from where she had been waiting in the hallway. Is it over? Not quite, Marcus said, but we're close. Jake clapped me on the shoulder. That was the most intense shareholder meeting I've ever attended. I laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. I can't believe we just did that. You did that, Marcus corrected. You were brilliant. That evening, the story hit the Los Angeles Times website. Tech CEO arrested for fraud and money laundering. Sarah Park had written a detailed piece about the shareholder meeting, the evidence, and Travis's dramatic arrest. My phone buzzed with messages from friends, colleagues, people I hadn't heard from in years. Diana made dinner at her place. Ashley, Marcus, and I sat around her small kitchen table, eating takeout Thai food, still processing everything. What happens now? Ashley asked. Travis will be charged formally. There will be a trial. It could take months, Marcus said. But with the evidence we have, and Richard's cooperation, he'll likely plead guilty to avoid a longer sentence. And the company? I asked. You're the largest shareholder now. Travis's shares will be seized as part of his criminal case. You'll have the opportunity to take control. And what about my lawsuit? The one where Travis sued me? Marcus smiled. That's going to be dismissed. Patricia called me an hour ago. She's withdrawing all claims. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. The trial took 4 months to come together. Travis was denied bail after the prosecutor argued he was a flight risk and had made threats against witnesses. During those months, I worked with the FBI, providing additional evidence. I worked with Marcus to restructure the company, and slowly, I started rebuilding my life. The company, which I renamed Phoenix Innovations, actually started to thrive under proper management. Once we removed the fraudulent accounting and Travis's excessive personal spending, the underlying business was solid. We had real clients, real revenue, real potential. Ashley became the director of marketing. She was brilliant at her job, and she worked like she had something to prove. Which, in a way, she did. Richard visited once a month, bringing coffee and apologies he didn't owe. We formed an unlikely friendship. He told me stories about Travis's childhood, trying to understand where things went wrong. He wasn't always like this, Richard said one afternoon. When he was young, he was kind, thoughtful. Then his mother died when he was 15, and something inside him changed. He became obsessed with success, with proving himself, with accumulating wealth. I'm sorry about your wife, I said. Me too, I think Travis never processed that grief. It turned into something dark. Diana helped me find a new place. A smaller house in Silver Lake with a garden and lots of natural light. I sold the Beverly Hills mansion. I didn't want it anymore. It had too many bad memories. I paid off the loan on Dad's San Diego house with money I earned from the company. The day the trial started, I sat in the courtroom wearing a simple gray dress. Ashley sat next to me. Diana was in the row behind us. Marcus sat with the prosecution team. Travis was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, looking thin and defeated. He glanced at me once, then looked away. The evidence was overwhelming. The prosecutor presented the emails, the recordings, the financial documents. Richard testified about conversations he had with Travis, where Travis admitted to lying to investors. Victor Kozlov had already pleaded guilty in a separate case and had agreed to testify against Travis in exchange for a reduced sentence. Travis's defense attorney tried to argue that Travis had been manipulated by Kozlov, that he was a victim too. But the recordings made it clear Travis knew exactly what he was doing. The jury deliberated for only 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge scheduled sentencing for 2 weeks later. At the sentencing hearing, I was given the opportunity to make a victim impact statement. I stood at the podium, looking at Travis, and spoke clearly. Travis took more than my money. He took my trust, my sense of safety, my faith in people. He planned for years to destroy me, and he came very close to succeeding. But what Travis didn't understand is that you can't keep someone down who's willing to fight back. My father taught me that strength isn't about physical power. It's about resilience. It's about standing up even when you've been knocked down. Travis, you thought I was weak. You thought I would just accept what you did, but you were wrong. And now you're here, and I'm free. I sat down. The judge sentenced Travis to 8 years in federal prison. As they led him away, Travis looked back at me one last time. But there was no anger in his eyes anymore. Just emptiness. Outside the courthouse, Sarah Park interviewed me for a follow-up story. How do you feel? Relieved, I said honestly, and hopeful. I have a lot of work to do rebuilding my life, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can. That evening, Ashley, Diana, Marcus, Jake, and I went to dinner at a small Italian restaurant in Pasadena. We toasted with red wine and laughed about stories that weren't funny yet, but someday would be. To Gail, Marcus said, raising his glass. The bravest woman I know. To justice, Jake added. To new beginnings, Deanna said. To freedom, Ashley finished. I clinked glasses with all of them. To fighting back. 6 months after the trial ended, I stood in my new office at Phoenix Innovations, looking out at the Los Angeles skyline. The company had doubled in revenue. We had hired 20 new employees. We had just signed a major contract with a Fortune 500 company. I had done it. Not just survived, but actually built something real. My phone buzzed. A text from Diana. Yoga tonight? I smiled. Definitely. Another text, this time from Ashley. New campaign numbers are incredible. We should celebrate. Lunch tomorrow? I replied. Life had become almost normal, almost peaceful. I still had bad days. Days when I wondered if I could trust anyone again. Days when I questioned every decision, every relationship, every compliment. But those days were getting fewer. I had started therapy. Dr. Williams, a kind woman in her 50s, helped me process the trauma of what Travis had done. She helped me understand that his betrayal wasn't about me. It was about him. You were targeted, she told me in one session. You were chosen specifically because you were trusting, because you had money, because you were vulnerable after your father's death. But none of that is your fault. Those words helped. Richard and I had dinner once a month now. He had become like a father figure, filling some of the void Dad had left. He told me once, I'm proud of you. Your father would be proud of you. I cried when he said that. The house in Silver Lake became my sanctuary. I planted flowers in the garden. I adopted a rescue dog, a golden retriever mix named Charlie. I learned to cook. I read books. I remembered what peace felt like. One Saturday morning, I was having coffee on my back patio when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? This is Denise calling from Terminal Island Federal Correctional Institution. You have a collect call from inmate Travis. Do you accept? My hand froze. Travis had written me several letters over the past months. I had returned them all unopened. But a phone call felt different, more immediate. Yes, I said, surprising myself. I accept. There was a click, then Travis's voice. Gail? Yes. Thank you for taking my call. I wasn't sure you would. I wasn't sure I would either. There was a long pause. I'm sorry, he said finally. I know that doesn't mean much. I know I destroyed everything. But I need you to know that I'm sorry. I didn't say anything. I've had a lot of time to think in here, he continued. About my life. About my choices. About what I did to you. And I realize now that I was sick. Not mentally ill, but spiritually sick. I became so obsessed with success, with money, with proving I was important, that I lost sight of everything that actually matters. Like what? I asked. Like integrity. Like love. Like basic human decency. I took a breath. Travis, I appreciate the apology. I do. But what you did to me, what you did to Ashley, what you did to everyone who trusted you, that can't be fixed with words. I know. You planned for years to ruin my life. You stole from me. You manipulated me. You threatened me. You made me afraid in my own home. I know, he said again, his voice breaking. And I have to live with that for the rest of my life. But Gail, please know this. What you did, fighting back, exposing me, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I almost laughed. How do you figure that? Because you stopped me. If you hadn't, I would have kept going. Kept hurting people, kept destroying lives. I would have gotten worse and worse, until I completely lost whatever humanity I had left. You saved me from becoming a monster. I thought about that. You're already 8 years in prison, Travis. Your reputation is destroyed. Your career is over. Your father barely speaks to you. How is that saving you? Because I can still change. I'm only 36. When I get out, I'll still have time to become a better person, to make amends, to live differently. If you hadn't stopped me, I never would have hit rock bottom. I never would have been forced to look at myself. I sat there in my peaceful garden, holding the phone, processing his words. I hope you mean that, I said finally. I hope you really do change. But Travis, I need you to understand something. I forgive you, but I will never forget. And we will never have any relationship after this call. This is goodbye. I understand. And Gail? Yes? You were always too good for me. Your father was right about that. My father said that? At our wedding. He pulled me aside and said if I ever hurt you, he would make sure I regretted it. I laughed it off. But he was right. I just wish I had listened. We hung up shortly after. I sat there for a long time, Charlie's head resting on my lap, thinking about everything. I thought about Dad, about how he had taught me to be strong, to be smart, to fight for what was right. I thought about Travis, about how a person could have everything and still want more, how greed and ambition could corrupt someone until they were unrecognizable. I thought about myself, about the woman I had been when I married Travis, naive and trusting and easily manipulated, and about the woman I had become, hardened by betrayal but also strengthened by survival. The truth was, I wouldn't wish what happened to me on anyone. The pain, the fear, the sense of violation when I discovered Travis's plans, those were wounds that would take years to fully heal. But I also knew that I had learned something invaluable. I learned that I was stronger than I thought. I learned that when someone tries to destroy you, you have a choice. You can let them win, or you can fight back with everything you have. I learned that justice is possible, but it requires courage. It requires patience. It requires being willing to risk everything for what's right. I learned that women, especially women who have been hurt and betrayed, have a reservoir of strength that even they don't know exists until they need it. And I learned that the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building a better life. Phoenix Innovations thrived because I poured everything into making it successful. Not to prove anything to Travis, but to prove something to myself. That I could take the wreckage of his betrayal and turn it into something good. Ashley became one of my closest friends. We bonded over our shared experience, but we also built something new. A friendship based on mutual respect and understanding. Diana remained my rock. The friend who never judged, who always listened, who brought me back to earth when I got too caught up in work or worry. Marcus became more than my lawyer. He became a mentor. He taught me about business, about strategy, about how to navigate the complicated world of corporate America. And Richard, despite everything his son had done, became a part of my life. He showed me that people can be deeply flawed and still have goodness in them. That family is complicated. That love doesn't always look the way we think it should. 6 months after that phone call with Travis, I was invited to speak at a women's business conference in San Francisco. They wanted me to talk about my experience, about how I fought back against financial abuse. I stood on that stage in front of 300 women and told my story. I didn't hold back. I told them about the betrayal, about the pain, about the fear. But I also told them about the fight, about the research, about the planning, about the moment I decided I wouldn't be a victim. When I finished, the room stood and applauded. Women came up to me afterward with tears in their eyes, sharing their own stories of betrayal and survival. One woman, older than me, with gray hair and kind eyes, took my hand. "Thank you," she said. "My husband stole from me 20 years ago. I never fought back. I just accepted it. But hearing your story makes me realize it's never too late to reclaim your power." That's when I understood why I had gone through all of this. Not just for me, but for every woman who has been betrayed, who has been told she's worthless, who has been manipulated and used. My story was proof that fighting back is possible, that winning is possible, that justice is possible. And that's the real legacy of what happened. Not that I got my money back, not that Travis went to prison, not that I rebuilt a successful company, but that I proved you don't have to stay down when someone knocks you over. You can get up. You can fight. You can win. And that's exactly what I did. Now, I want to hear from all of you watching this. Have you ever been in a situation where someone betrayed your trust? How did you handle it? Did you fight back or did you walk away? What advice would you give to someone going through something similar? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this story resonated with you, if it made you feel something, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories and know they're not alone. And if you want to hear more stories about resilience, about fighting back, about refusing to be a victim, then subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. We share stories every week about real people facing real challenges and coming out stronger on the other side. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe a friend going through a divorce. Maybe a family member dealing with financial abuse. Maybe someone who just needs to be reminded that they're stronger than they think. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this community of survivors and fighters. I hope you take away from this not just entertainment, but inspiration. The inspiration to stand up for yourself, to protect what's yours, to refuse to be anyone's victim. You are stronger than you know, and you deserve better than to be used or betrayed. Remember that. Always. Stay strong, stay smart, and never ever let anyone make you feel small. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.